Hey, this is Brennan Allen from ComicCon.com. We're doing happy hour number 9 today. Joining me as always are Cullen and Anton. But today we have a couple special guests. We're going to be talking about a book called Mystic Libations that's being published by Trader Brandon. It's $39.95, 204 pages. It says, where the drinks are legend and the stories intoxicating, welcome, thirsty traveler, to the Bloodthorn, a tavern that exists in many realms. It's the home of Brio, Stormthorn, and Tory Bloodheart, providers of the tavern and adventurers of great renown. Joining us today are Brandon Kleyla and Todd Stashwick, who wrote this book. How you doing, guys?
Living the dream.
Great.
And I hear you guys do some other things too besides writing bar books.
Not much. Play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons.
Hell yeah.
Right on.
I think the book's probably the biggest thing we've done.
Together?
Yeah.
Or in our histories as humans?
It's funny because I was looking at both of you guys' like IMDb's and stuff doing show prep, and both of you guys actually have been doing like acting and writing and directing and just everything for a long time.
I'm an old person. I'm an old person from way back. I was born in the 60s, people. Come on. Yeah.
That is old.
I don't disagree. This was the premise of my statement.
That was a look of shock on Brendan's face. I liked it. Was just like,
Brendan was born like in 92. Like, when were you born, Brandon?
You seriously think 92?
I don't know. He was born in the 80s.
I am 40.
Super bald.
Pardon?
Just hit
78.
40.
When was your birthday, Bubba?
Mine?
Yeah.
May 4th.
nice.
Wait, shut up. And how did I miss that?
I don't know.
I'm a bad friend.
You're busy. You're working hard.
Yeah, but I'm a bad friend. I need to make up for that.
Birthday.
I'll be out in a couple weeks.
It's okay.
Sure. But I got to make up for that. I feel terrible.
Oh, don't. My parents didn't even call me, and mine was on the 9th. I haven't heard from them in a couple of months, so it's not even a thing. Don't feel bad.
They're trying to retcon their parenting.
Oh, 100%.
Like it didn't happen.
Yeah.
What's weird, Anton, is they called me on your birthday.
They normally do. They like
me
that.
as well. Is weird.
It's just odd.
They just cold called me. I'm like, who is this?
All right, so let's get into some drinks. Anton went through the book. You guys sent him a copy.
I think some people clearly already have.
It's Sunday.
But Anton, what order do you want to go in? We made 3 of these.
Yeah, let's start with the Dijon Punch, I think.
That's a good one.
Is that how you say that?
That's a
Isn't
good
it
one.
Genie?
Genie?
It's just
It's
Genie.
Genie.
Right?
It's Genie.
Yeah. I called it Dijon all of my life until maybe, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. I decided I can't be saying this correctly and changed it to, I just call it Genie now.
It's Genie.
Okay.
Is it?
So
It is. It actually is. Yeah.
That's fantastic. No, I mean we've said
It's like I Dream of. It's kind of
Right.
where the phrase came from, and they just anglicized the spelling for network television.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
okay.
But I
G is silent.
called it Dijon for the longest time.
Yeah, that's what we call it at the table.
Well, it's either gin or Genie. There it is.
Oh, so
Well, this has no gin in it. It's rum, which is
there is no gin. It's rum.
but it's
because it's a
delicious.
punch.
Yeah, and I mean it goes down really smooth. I'm a huge fan. I didn't have the Brennan went out and bought fancy swords. I of course come armed with the 1980s plastic saber that
Classic.
because you can't go wrong with a classic. And it is delightful.
So here's my question. You all made the same drink. You both held them up, and they look completely different.
Mine looks a
Well,
little
that's the thing. That's the thing is, so I live in California where their produce is always available. So I was like, yeah, pineapple's going to be no big deal.
True.
Peaches are going to be no big deal. I had to buy baby food for this one.
Wait. Brendan,
Yes,
you
sir.
live in California?
I do. Did you know?
It has never once come up in conversation.
Not a single time. But
I
yeah,
learned
so I
it
went
this
to-
week. I thought he lived in the Midwest near you.
I
That
think
is
we're
actually
bearing the
true.
lead here. Baby food, like what, mashed peas?
Yeah,
Like
that's a good story.
No, so I was at the store and I was looking for peaches. They have no peaches in the entire store. So I'm like, okay, do you guys have peach puree? And the guy looks at me and he's like the baby food? And I was like, no shit. So I went to the Gerber aisle and right there are these little nice containers of peach puree, 2 ingredients, peaches and water. It's even
Yeah.
organic. And
which is my
it
favorite
costs,
70s group.
it costs like $1. for 2 little tubs
There
of
you go.
peach puree.
Boom. Boom.
There is,
Done.
though, in every cocktail aisle, a little white bottle of peach puree. They have
You know
a
what? Did it cost $1 though? Did it cost $1?
Actually, no, because I was making the a Kali's potion number 6 yesterday for my game, and I could not find peach puree to save my life. Didn't think of going to the baby aisle. Gerber's the hookup. They're going to have a whole line of cocktail additives.
I don't think I've ever connected those dots of if you can't find it.
You know what
Who
else
would've?
is weird?
Dr.
I
Gerber.
have I got Gerber martini olives. So
I don't think that's going to work for this drink.
dot.
All right, so let's talk about what's in it. We've got 1 ounce of coconut rum, 2 ounces of orange juice, 1/2 ounce of Gerber organic peach puree, 2 ounces of pineapple juice, 1 ounce melon liqueur, and then a garnish of citrus and pineapple on a little sword. And my little swords are made of metal.
Yeah, those are pretty legit.
Those are really nice.
And now we were discussing before we all kind of logged on and started recording. The book is phenomenal. It's one of those books where like the mixed drinks have intent behind them. You can tell it's not just like a reskin of one of those things you grab for like somebody from a dollar bin. It's like it's a mixed drink themed for Superman, and it's the same recipes over and over again. Like these recipes have real intent behind them. And you were saying you actually went through the mixology process. Like
and the whole book came together really organically because Brandon had reached out to me through the Instagram, like the millennial he is, and he I'm going to keep driving this "you were born in the '90s" thing.
Go ahead.
Even though it's not real. You're like tail end Gen X, right?
83.
I'm going to say yes.
Sure.
I'm going to say yes.
Just go all in on it.
Yeah. You're a Lucas Spielberg kid. That's all I got to know.
Yeah, that's all.
So he was a fan of 12 Monkeys and was like, hey, this guy seems to collect tiki stuff and he's got nerdy stuff. Maybe I should talk to him and we can talk about 12 Monkeys and stuff. And so we immediately bonded like we were old friends who went to college, even though he was in diapers when I was in college. Yeah, you were 3 when I started college. And you were in diapers clear into your teens.
Yeah.
So
I gotta tell you, having a 4-month-old and you go, those things are convenient.
Diapers? Yeah. You just poop wherever you want.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Just poop on the go.
I mean, it's usually on
I can do it right now. I can be pooping.
You don't know.
So we're talking, as we're talking, it turns out he had never played Dungeons and Dragons. Of all the games that he does play, he plays a ton. But he had never played D&D, and I was like, well, just in the gist of the conversation, we could tell that we were going to get on. And I was like, let's play D&D, and this was kind of the height of lockdown. And so everything was Zoom games anyway. So I became sort of his Sherpa into Dungeons and Dragons, and he was my Sherpa into all things tiki. And while we were doing Zoom games, I was like, hey, you know what will be fun? Let's create a recipe to sort of create connection so that wherever we all are at playing D&D, we're all at least tasting the same drink and we can kind of feel like we're at the same table. And he was like, I'm in. And so he was able to concoct a recipe. I created a pithy pun having to do with the game that I was running that week. He then went and like art directed a cool looking recipe. And then I would just attach that to the email that we sent out to all the other players. And then after about 5 or 6 of these recipes, we were like, I think we're onto something, because the Venn diagram of people who drink and play D&D is just a perfect circle.
Yeah. and
so, yeah,
you had called out, putting these recipes together and kind of sending them out to people. And one of the things that I love about this book is it is so beautifully illustrated. Like as opposed to being pictures, somebody has photographed the mixed drinks. They're actually like renderings of these drinks, and it really feels like a found object, like a tome that is worthy of having alongside your other gaming books. And that really made it stand out. I was delighted when I started flipping through it. I've read it cover to cover like twice at this point. And we'll get into the adventure at the end because I have lots to say about that. That's super rad as well. But it just, you guys have put together a really cool body of work that, not gassing anybody up, I feel is an essential addition to the not extensive gaming book collection that some of us, longtime players have. It's such a cool offering.
That is high praise. I'll let
Yeah,
Brandon speak to the illustrations of the drinks, because it's very old school.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of when we realized what we wanted to do, and we came up with Brio, and we came up with Tori, and we came up with the Bloodthorn, and kind of the thought that all of these recipes were captured in this old leather bound book, that they had collected these recipes from all of their adventures and travels. I just instantly you were like, well, that's hand drawn, that's old pages, you knew what it was going to be.
And also is a harkening back to those old tiki menus that of the sketch of the cocktail as opposed to just a picture. And again, and to what you said, the illustrative quality of the book rather than photographs, because that's D&D. You don't have photographs in a D&D book.
Right.
So the tavern and these characters, they were created for this book, or did they exist before?
Yeah, so the idea, like my contribution on because I'm not recipes, I'm not art direction, I'm not that, I'm narrative. And so as a DM, my job was to make it as good of a D&D book as I could do, because again, everything else is so far outside of my purview with the tiki culture. That's where Brandon is the master. What I was bringing to the table was my D&D bona fides. And so what I wanted was a narrative that pulled it through and give us a home base, so that we are, because we also weren't doing an official Dungeons and Dragons book. We needed to world build, and we needed to have our own kind of IP and more a multi-applicable, multi RPG setting that you could apply to a lot of different places. So the idea of these proprietors taking part of each of their characters' last names and making it one name. So Bloodheart and Stormthorn, so the Bloodthorn Tavern. That just felt like we needed home base. And then kind of everything then went from there. Brandon, anything to add?
No, and I think when we were creating those characters as well, Brio is kind of the old school D&D, what you would imagine, because I was new to D&D, so I wanted, I was like, well, it's fantasy and it's Robin Hood type stuff. So Brio is kind of like a Little John type of character. He's big and burly, and I usually describe him in games as like it's kind of like Chewbacca. He's like Little John. He's just the big dude that's heart of gold and can hold his liquor and usually pulls out some cool things by the end. We've had some good games with Brio.
And what I will also add is Brio is actually pre-existed the book. So he was a character that Brandon had created to what he introduced as his first D&D character.
Yeah.
And so there was an authenticity to that. Tori, I DM more than I play. So I created Tori just for the book. And she is a bit of an homage to my cousin Tori. He is the one, may he rest in peace. He was the one who introduced me to Dungeons and Dragons in the first place. So I wanted to give a little homage to him, and kind of immortalize the name, at least in the pages. And so we now had this duo, and then Roy Hansel, who created all the cocktails. His gal's last name was Mindling. And so we were like, Mindling Roy would be this little kind of goblin, this little winged goblin, as our silent partner, Barback. So we had our trio.
I've been running games since '93, right? Since I was just a little kid, and I've had a weekly game that we've been pretty much playing since like 2014 over Zoom, because all my players are scattered all over the world. And I will let you know that they are currently on their pirate leg of the adventure. They have kind of come upon a ship, and the blood charm is now in the possession of one of the players because I made sure that it was sitting on the captain's desk and they pocketed it. And it's one of the warlocks. And I mean, they saw the stats for it in Roll20 when it popped up, and were like, "Holy hell, what is this?" And I was like, "I'm not telling you where I got it. I'll explain after." They love it. It is. They just hit level 11. It is game changing for them. They're super excited because, and that's what's so rad about this book is like, there's this micro adventure in the back. The incarnate maps are beautiful. Whoever designed those did a great job with those. Super great. I love Incarnate. It's a game changer when you have to play through Zoom. You can drop it into Roll20. Everybody can see it in a virtual tabletop.
Oh! What is it?
Yeah.
He's going to get props.
Visual aids.
Stand by.
He 3D printed one.
I'm super stoked to see what's coming.
So this guy who goes by the name of Noble Dwarf,
Okay.
he does canvas printings.
Oh, that bangs out of control. That's awesome.
What?
So he canvas printed the maps, and I brought them to GaryCon. He did 2 of them for me at least. But you can order them. You can get our free download, and then you can hire this guy, and they're all playable. So you just roll that out, and you have the bar. We have the on my site and Brandon's site. We have the maps that you can download the file, and then I just sent them to him, and he printed them up on canvas.
And that's
Nice and big.
So rad. That's what's cool about this book is like there's combat encounters, there's maps that totally work. There's the mixology class. That whole piece is the College of Mixology for Bards. That's an entire thing that's been
Arcane Mixter. Come on.
How great is the Arcane Mixter? That's genius. Like at the table.
Your words, not mine, but whatever.
And I mean them. And I'm a harsh critic. These guys know me when it comes to gaming. Like I'm kind of a dickhead. Like I will tell you if something doesn't work. I've put this through the numbers and shown it to my more irritable players who love to break stuff, and they love it. I mean, it really.
Are you really a harsh critic, though, Anton? Maybe about
dude. You should. I have to edit Anton for the site, and I got to tell you, there's some times when I just have to call him and like, Anton, dude, you got to tone this down a little bit because he is very, very critical.
Excitable guy. Come on, it's great, but you are an excitable dude, a dickhead. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, that was the thing, and again, I want to tip my hat back to Brandon. Was one of the big tenets of the process was we wanted this book to sit equally on your game shelf as it sits on your bar. So if you're not a gamer, it still works. If you're a gamer, put it right next to all of your other adventure books.
See that empty section?
And so Brandon, like, again, he's just a wizard with art direction, and he I mean, we had hired different artists, Mike Schwalm and Zelda Devon and Julia Madalena. That is she is a find. So if you need some great like oil paintings, literal oil paintings, or just the digital paintings that she did for us, but a lot of these, again, Brandon curated artists and brought them in. I'm just blowing smoke, but then he tirelessly crafted the look of the book so that it would sit on your bookshelf like a regular D&D game, like a regular book.
Anton brought it up, and he's absolutely right because he mentioned the Superman cocktail book, and we reviewed a great Batman themed cocktail book a while back. But
Gotham City Cocktails.
Yeah, Gotham City Cocktails. But Anton's absolutely right. There are so many of these terrible books that just there's no love in it. There's no excitement for it. It's sort of a cash grab. And this book is not that. This book looks pretty. It looks curated. It looks created. But this was a Kickstarter, right?
It was. Yeah, we were funded in a day.
Yeah.
And then it just kept going and going and going and going and going and going. And then being that, like you said, it wasn't a cash grab, every additional dime we made went into the book. So, then we could get another artist, then we could get another, stretch goal. We could make swizzles. We could, do all that.
Well, it looks created is what I mean. It looks like something that was created, not just, you know,
Oh,
make-
it was. Well,
Yeah,
that's one good thing about pandemics is no one works.
Yes,
So
I
you can-
remember. I remember very
right, so
clearly.
you can make a couple phone calls and get some really, really good people. Like Roy and I knew each other from Trader Sam's out at the Disneyland Hotel. I put that bar together when I worked at Imagineering,
Mhm.
and he's one of the bartenders out there. So the bar was closed obviously during 2020, and I said, hey, we're doing this cocktail book, you want to come make some recipes? And Roy, I love him to death. He's one of the best. He cracks me up. I don't even know if he has a computer. I would sit and Zoom. Well, I guess he does because we would Zoom. But I would sit and Zoom with him, and he would hold up his, lined legal pad with every drink just written on it.
Love that.
And he would read me the recipes, and I would sit and type them down and make a spreadsheet of, okay, got it, next one, go. Got it, next one, go. He had COVID during coming up with the recipes, which is really fun when your bartender can't taste anything. Is a great, perfect time to put a cocktail book together. But yeah, no, it was, I mean, we went and got the best people we could find and took our time, but we got it done quick. I mean, we got it out, and we cranked
We
that
turned
puppy
this
around.
whole thing around in like 6 months.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
To,
That's
To
crazy.
books on our front porch, trucks backing up with crates and pallets.
Yeah, it was,
and
it came together so organically and so, I'm not going to say effortlessly, but we weren't trying to struggle. The other fun thing about kickstarting it is it really invited the community in, and many of the drinks are named after people's characters, their parties from D&D, and so there was a sense of ownership of community with the book too. And Brandon and I did not have to come up with 130 puns. We were just able
we did
to name
100,
them.
but
However,
Those,
we
those
did
extra
100.
30 make the difference.
But
though.
still, but yeah, I mean, you're not kidding. But then coming up with like the little poems and little sayings and the little things that I wrote with that was the fun part for me, because as I'm an old Second City guy from Chicago, and so you give me something to start with, and that gives me something to play with. And so people would say, hey, this is my party, here's my little thing, write something about that.
I remember getting like, because one of our tiers was you could name a drink after your character, like Todd said. And I remember one of the guys, I got one email, and I said, okay, here's the list for today. And you had like the Inviscerator and like decent fun D&D names. And then one guy was the Hobo King, and I was like, make something out of that, have fun. Yeah, and we did.
I think I did okay.
No, you did great. You did great.
Is that the
But
king-
talk about
is that the
talk
King's
about
Old
a name,
Fashioned?
No, there's a drink
No,
called the Hobo
there's a drink
King.
called the Hobo King.
Yeah.
Anton, I feel like you let us down with this one, buddy.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I mean, I was trying to pick an offering. And like another thing for listeners, there are challenge levels, like CRs, to the drinks, which is just so endemic of somebody who actually pays attention and knows how to roll dice, as opposed to like a major corporation that's like, oh, we're just going to put out a book. Like you can tell that care went into this book and actual gamers put this together, because there's levels to the drinks and how difficult they are to.
There was stuff that didn't even make it into the book that we wanted to do, where you would have a random charts to create a cocktail. Like, here's a syrup, here's a thing, here's this, here's a garnish, roll it, and then here's an adjective, here's
Could
a
have ended
monster.
horribly.
Yeah,
Anton, that's our next show. That's our next show.
My
You
favorite,
make the spreadsheet, and we'll roll to make our next drinks for the next show.
my favorite
stealing
barber in town is managed by a longtime gamer, and it's all his staff are gamers. But they have a drink called the Surprise Me, where that you roll a handful of dice, and you have to take what the dice tell you you're going to get, and they'll make whatever cocktail they can out of
That's cool.
different ingredients that come up.
That's cool.
I just did a book signing at a gaming bar in town called the Cloak and Blaster, and it's down in Orlando. And they have one where it's $8 and you roll the dice and you could get any drink. They're pre-made drinks, so it could be a cocktail, could be a Sam
You don't know what
Adams,
you're getting. Yeah,
could be whatever. But yeah, they were doing that the other day
Trash
too.
can
It was
that's
punch.
really fun.
I said it's going to be
Right,
the bar mat. That's what it'll
Right,
be.
exactly. Now, Brendan mentioned the King's Old Fashioned, and that isn't the Hobo King. It's a different listing, but we did make a King's Old Fashioned
Oh,
episode.
there it is.
Yeah.
No,
There it is. My fancy little
It's like-
swords in there.
That's a
Those
good
swords
one.
could do
For
some
the
damage.
ingredients of
Those
this
can hurt
one,
some people.
They really could. I think that's the point, though, is that
I mean,
So,
to be fair,
so,
the little
so taste the King's Old Fashioned. I want to watch you drink it.
oh, here we go.
Because
Here we go.
that all comes from, I'm the bourbon guy. Like, I love whiskey and I love bourbon.
I'm
And
for it.
Brandon created a beverage based on my character from 12 Monkeys called the Scav King. Because as tiki drinks go, I love Mai Tais.
Mhm.
But I also love whiskey. So he's the Scav King is sort of a whiskey Mai Tai with a little grapefruit edge to it.
So I got to tell
And
you,
he-
though, you specifically listed Luxardo cherries in this. And if you had not done that, Cullen would have fought you.
I thought you were going to said you would have gotten like pureed Gerber cherries. So
Yeah.
I wasn't sure where you were going with that.
Brendan
Cullen is like
issues with the Luxardo cherries, but I've told him that you can't make a cocktail, an old fashioned especially, without a great cherry.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, we're not savages.
Thank you. But Brendan doesn't get it. He doesn't understand. He has yet to embrace the Luxardo.
no, they're good cherries. They're good cherries. I like them, but it's just funny to me that like Cullen will walk into a bar and they will recognize him on the way in, and they will tell him, "Hey, I'm sorry, Cullen, we're out of Luxardo cherries," and he'll turn around and leave.
and walk out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and by the way, a Luxardo soaked in bourbon. Shut.
Oh
the
yeah,
front
they're
door.
amazing.
All right, let's see. Here it is. This one's been sitting in bourbon for about an hour and a half.
Come on.
Oh, that works. That's
Right.
good.
I know.
I like
I
that.
can't steer you wrong.
We just got to local.
I like that. And that's practically a vegetable, right?
Yes. Health food.
We have
It's only two degrees
Bourbon
separated
is
from the
corn.
ground.
Bourbon's corn mash, so that's
Ask-
all vegetables.
Ask the guy who's putting baby food in his drink. He's really worried about the
Right.
vegetables. Yeah.
Yeah, the bar is pretty low.
Yeah.
Listen, you find cheaper, more available peach puree, and I'll
It's
buy that.
made,
But
it's made. Well, you're in California. You got Bevmo out there.
Yeah.
It's the guys that do Coco Real, the white bottles.
Mhm.
Coco Real, they do a peach, but
They didn't
And
have it
they
at
probably
Bevmo.
have
I
it.
was there yesterday, so I had to buy Dole peaches and puree them.
hey, listen. So I went to Food
Gerber.
Max,
let me tell you about this little tip I just learned.
Yeah,
and Jesse at Food Max told me go to the baby food aisle, and it worked. So
Thank
I
you,
don't know
Jesse.
what we're all on about. Yes.
Well, I'm an old fashioned snob. This is a good old fashioned. It's solid. I enjoyed it. I trusted that it was going to be a good one, and I used good rye in it. I didn't just use crap rye. So this is a good drink.
Well, and always
Yay.
the drink gets better depending on what ingredients you are actually
Well,
using. So
It
yeah.
also, as my dear old mom used to say, it also gets better every sip. So
that too.
I love your
Well,
T-shirt, by the way.
yeah. Oh yeah, see that's awesome, right?
Nice.
See, I think we probably. I mean, I was gonna ask because Brandon, I know you're new, but I do see a whole bunch of D&D books on your shelf, and I see that dice tower with the one-eyed demon on it.
Yeah.
So we know you started during COVID. I know Anton started in '93. What about you, Todd? When did you pick up Dungeons and Dragons? 'Cause I'm guessing you started
1979.
That
I was
same-
one.
Yeah.
So
I was 1 year old in '79.
It's a two-parter. So I started in '79. I used to I would be at camp up in Lake Geneva, and we would walk to the dungeon, which was TSR headquarters, and we would buy our dice and minis and Dragon magazine there. And I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago and would camp often up there. So I played hard from '79 till like '82, just before high school. And in junior high school, I started the D&D club with my cousin. So I was that Stranger Things kid.
Yeah.
And then at a different camp, because it was '82, they were like, "You do know this is the gateway to the Satan."
Yes, Satanic
So
Panic.
the Satanic
Yes.
Panic kicked in, and I, being the child of imagination, went, "It's what?" And I came home, looked my parents in the eye, and said, "See all this stuff you spent a good amount of money on? I'm giving it away."
What?
Like, oh, okay. I'm like, because it was nightmare fuel at that point for me, being an impressionable young boy. Then around 2012, I got on with my life and was doing college and high school and all of that. Stop that, reverse it. And then in my adult life, I was at an audition, and an actor by the name of Abraham Ben Ruby was like, "Oh, I was up late playing Dungeons and Dragons," and my ear went, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, I was playing D&D." I'm like, "Grown up people play Dungeons and Dragons?"
Mhm.
He goes,
Yes.
"Yeah, me and Lillard and a bunch of guys, we have a weekly game." I'm like, "Hold the phone." So I went home that night, went on eBay, bought all my D&D books back from that I could find, and it wasn't a craze yet, so they were still cheap. It was like, here, $20. You can have the Monster Manual. You can have the Feed Folio that has the Cthulhu references, and so I bought it all back, but I still didn't have anybody to play with. And so around 2015. I was like, that's it. I want to play D&D again. My buddy Yuri Lowenthal showed up at my house with the starter kit and was like, we're playing D&D. Let's go. I'm like, awesome. Let's go. And then I booked 12 Monkeys and left town for 3 years. And so the guy who was training me for 12 Monkeys was a DM. We became fast friends. He knew Yuri. Right as I wrapped 12 Monkeys in 2017, I've started a game and been playing that same game for 5 years. And then I started DMing because my daughter was like, I want to play. And now she DMs. So I have usually 3 to 4 games going a month.
That's
I
awesome.
love that.
Yeah, we started at the same time then, because I started in '79.
Yep.
My buddy,
I was one. I was one in 1979. 1 year
You
old.
brought that up earlier.
you mentioned it.
We don't pick when we're born, but go on.
My buddy Bardell brought a copy of the Tomb of Horrors that his older brothers played, and he brought a copy of the Tomb of Horrors to lunch when I was in 2nd grade, 3rd grade. And I'll never forget, he was singing to me. He was pointing to the images and singing to it. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
That's
and,
phenomenal.
I've been in since. And
Yeah.
Bardell was a son of a preacher. So when Satanic Panic really hit, I was able to tell my mom, yeah, but Vardell's dad's a preacher, so it's okay.
Ah.
And
He's
Wow.
yeah, the books are clean. We're all good.
Wow. Dude, so when it was like youth group, I was in like 7th grade or something, and we went to Mexico to like build a church or something. I don't know. But there was a cab.
Like actual good things.
That's the real stuff.
Yeah.
They use real sugar in it.
What?
No, go on. That was a good joke.
That was tight.
I would have to
That's
watch
good.
this back and see what I just missed. But no, so we were down there, and there was this cab driver that gave up his whole week of like cab fares to like drive us around to get the stuff we needed and stuff. And he gave me like a mission to go back to California and buy Dungeons and Dragons stuff and send it back down to Mexico so that he could preach about how evil it was. And
Oh man.
I was like, what is 7th grade? What's that, like 12, 13? I don't even know. But like I was so like, oh my God, I've got to do this thing. So I went and bought like a $40 game and mailed it to this dude. And he did. He talked hundreds of youth out of playing Dungeons and Dragons because of Satanic Panic.
Do you guys remember?
Did he pay you back?
Yeah,
No.
I thought
That was the other thing. It's like, here's this
Money
adult
for it.
that's like, hey, child that doesn't understand anything about how the world works. Go spend your money on this thing and send it to me so I can like
We're
crush people's
horrible.
dreams. And
That's ridiculous.
Do you guys
man.
remember when Mazes and Monsters was adapted into a TV movie?
Yeah.
My friends and I talk about it all the time. They're like, this was a movie supposed to scare you about how awful role-playing games were. And man, we all wanted to go into the sewers and play D&D so badly. My dad was a professional hypnotist. And my friends they were like begging us at times, could your dad just hypnotize us to believe that we're seeing these things for real?
and did you?
No, hell no.
No, he just gave us acid.
Well, like D&D was the great equalizer for me because like I'm in a wheelchair. I use it full time, and I grew up a lot of times in a hospital. Like I was in body casts and stuff like that. And it was like we took dice from like Monopoly games and Sorry games and stuff, and we would, there were kids who were diabetics, so they were able to jump up and run around. There were kids like me who were in body casts. There were kids who were hooked up to all sorts of tubes and machines. And it was one of those things where we figured out how to roll dice with rules, and we could all be on the same page together. Like everybody was equal at the table because we had like this set of kind of standards that we could adhere to, and like that made it one of the coolest things in the world, like it not being able to run outside and throw a ball, or not being able to, like, you know, see the television to play, you know, ColecoVision. That kind of stuff was, you know, limiting for some of the kids who were there, for myself included. And role playing and being able to like roll the dice gave us this like a sense of community and like an equal playing ground with each other. So it's been like a fundamental piece of my life, my entire life. So anything that, you know, now that we can buy D&D shirts at like a Target is amazing to me, because I remember when the Satanic Panic was happening, and you had like, you know, I literally watched preachers like take books and put them in bonfires, and like parents take character sheets and like, you know, rip them in half, and there's people lamenting and screaming,
solving the world's problems.
You know, that's fixing all of us, is getting rid of this stuff. It's evil. When
and
it
now
it's like
God forbid people have fun, right?
It's
Right.
like present day Florida.
It's all controlled.
It's a lot, very much so. And now it's like this in the cultural zeitgeist in a way that, like, I will buy anything that has the ampersand on it that I see when I'm out and about, just because to me it feels like, well, we won. Like, you know, it feels.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember having spiral notebooks hidden between my mattresses, watching sitcoms where that would be where the girly mags were hidden. And for me, it's like, this is where the Displacer Beast stats live, in this Mead notebook hidden between the mattresses of my bed, because God forbid somebody find it and burn it.
Yeah, I was about to say there was something else hidden between the mattresses in my room.
For me, it was how to roll dice, man. That's literally how I roll. Like,
I love hearing that story from you, Anton. Every time we talk about it, I love it, because it shows that this game can mean more than just being a game, and it means different things for different people, and it brings people together in different ways. And look, I don't know if we won or not. I got into D&D for the chicks, but
you say that. And last night, Jerry Ryan played at my table.
Nice.
So I got her to roll dice, and more women that I know in my life play D&D.
Now
than dudes. Yeah.
Now
it's tremendous.
It's amazing. That was a joke, because when I was a kid, that was not necessarily the case.
No.
I was going to say, it reminded me of the joke in Casablanca where Rick goes, I came to Casablanca for the waters. Yeah.
Nice.
I came to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and
I'm all out of gum.
Yeah. Hey, Anton, go ahead and lead us into that third drink, boss.
Yeah, sure. So this third one, I've got to remember the name. I have it on my thingy.
Floating Eyes.
It's the Floating Eye. Now I did swap it out. I don't have melon. Not a huge
Look
fan.
at that drink. Look at that glassware.
But I did
use
Whoa.
Glass.
Verdict.
Oh, that's nice. I like that. It's fruity and tropical, but it's not like overly sweet.
Very different color.
Yeah.
Between the two of them. Anton.
Not terribly.
Anton's his looks like a specimen jar from a science lab. What's going on there?
Yeah, so my wife, being the amazing person that she is, actually cut kiwi for mine, because I don't
Nice.
So I have little kiwi eyeballs as opposed to melon on a black plastic sword. And
when she gave it to you, did you say, "How dare you? This is supposed to be melon," and you threw it in her face?
You've met me and my wife on multiple occasions. You know I worship the ground that woman walks on. You know that would never happen. My wife is way cooler than me.
So you guys don't have melon in Missouri this time of year? Is that what's going on?
He's not in Missouri.
I'm not in Missouri. I'm in Virginia. I'm on the East Coast.
Did you check the baby food aisle?
Yeah. Did you look on the baby food aisle? Because Gerber, I think, has a puree.
I honored the concept of the floating eye, and I put a.
That's really. I mean, the presentation is so fun.
I have optic nerves coming off the bottom of my glass here. So
yeah, yours is a whole floating eye.
Yeah,
I love it.
And again, this is a level 1, and that alone, dear listeners and viewers, is enough for you to go out and buy this book or order it, because
that is a very tasty drink.
This is a CR1.
Yeah, it's a CR1. There are. I mean, I think they're definitely. I sort of laid the groundwork for us to maybe circle back to this publication at a later date, where we could, kind of explore higher level challenge ratings. with these drinks because I think it definitely is worth diving back into.
You know what? I think we
the
I think we
challenge
forgot to
ratings.
say.
I was going to say we should talk about the challenge rating. So yeah, we came up with those based on complexity of the drink, right?
Mhm.
So if you're brand new, well, grab a couple things. It's an easy drink to make, and then they go up to either there's fire is a 5, or just like really not impossible to find, but definitely harder to find ingredients, more expensive ingredients, that sort of thing. But it was fun or size. I had a friend from work the other day text me and he goes, "You're a psychopath." And I was like, the hell does that mean? And I opened it up and he sent me a picture of the Kraken's Fury. Is it Kraken's Fury? I think it's Kraken's Fury, from the book. And I said, well, you understand that's not a single person drink, right? And he was like, no, I always make a drink with 5 gallons of alcohol. Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's a beast of a bold drink. But yeah, it was fun to give them ratings and kind of break it down in a fun,
Well, you know what I take away from
way.
You know what I take away from this is that we have to do a second episode where we just level up the drinks.
Well, I do feel like I need to say any drink that requires a melon baller should be a little higher, especially if you live in Missouri. And I went out this morning.
Do you live in Missouri?
Yeah, I do.
Do you?
I went out this morning and I had to ask the lady at the store, where are your melon ballers? And she said,
Oh, I thought you were going to say you had to ask her what a melon baller
she
was because it just comes up so infrequently.
Almost shocked and offended by me asking for a melon baller. I had to ask.
She said, I have no idea. You can check the Gerber aisle, but I really.
Yeah.
And that's the third.
Yeah.
Non-GMO organic.
It's a runner.
I'm gonna keep going with it. However,
we're gonna see how much mileage we can get out of the Gerber.
I'm getting a sponsorship out of this.
If you guys don't mention Gerber pureed products in your next book, I'm gonna be a little upset.
Well, we'll just do a whole section of baby drinks.
Hang on a sec. Let's do the ingredients real quick for these 2 drinks because we didn't do the old fashioned. The old fashioned is 2 ounces rye whiskey, a sugar cube, and aromatic bitters, and it's garnished with lemon peel and Luxardo cherry. The floating eyes we're drinking right now is 1 ounce of light rum, 1 ounce melon liqueur, ½ ounce blue
Curacao.
How do you say that? Curacao? Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
1 ounce cranberry juice, ½ ounce pineapple juice, and garnished with honeydew melon balls. That's the drink. All right, carry on.
Or kiwi.
I will also. I'm gonna throw this out there, and I'm gonna be a little bit vague because I really want my gamers to pick up this book. The Cold Stone magic item was thrown into a water elemental on the bow of a ship during a storm, and it slowed it. And that is a new tactic now that the party has hired an artificer to make more of these things, and it will start to become sort of a regular thing in the weekly campaign.
Oh.
I'm not going to tell you what, dear listener, what the Cold Stone is, but it is delightful and a magic item that is a must-have at any table. It's so good.
I also want to point out, because you guys aren't around Anton all the time, delightful is the highest praise you can get from this guy, and he said it like 15 times while talking to you, so he really likes the book.
I really like the book, and I'm like, Cullen is right. I mean, he's known me longer than my family at this point. I'm an excitable person. What I really enjoy is something. I go all in. This is a book that I enjoy. It is a must-have, and like, I'm not joking. That little section right there next to my Free League Vesson books, that's where this book goes when I don't have it on my desk next to me. It's awesome.
Well, they are in limited supply. I have sold out of my my portion of it because the Kickstarter allowed us to print up a certain amount, and then we divided that, and then I took some, and then Brandon took some. I'm out. So we would love to do a second printing, but you can only get it from Trader Brandon now.
That's right.
Go traderbrandon.com, and
we both have Bloodthorn t-shirts, and we both have Mystic.
Yeah, you can get hats and t-shirts and stuff.
And things.
Yeah.
Dice.
And you can
dice.
look for a book review from me on the comiccon.com site coming soon.
You.
It's already been put together, so that'll be going up.
Oh, is it going to be a good review? I wonder.
I wonder what I'll say about the book.
It's
we already
delightful.
have, look, we also have ideas for the next book too, and I can preview the name of the book.
Please
Ready?
do.
Do
Yes.
you guys want to know what my
Exclusive.
wife?
I love this name, and this name makes me so happy, and I
Did we
want to make a
trademark
book
it?
that
Did we trademark it
I
already?
want to live up to this name. So I'm saying it.
Let's do it.
Unearthed Barcana.
Oh no, shit! That's awesome.
That's well played.
You just popped Anton. I've never seen him get
Beneath
so
the
excited about anything.
Bloodthorn. So it's
That's
Unearthed Barcana beneath the Bloodthorn.
That's
I
so
love
fun.
So Mystic Libations, blah 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 blah. And then and what we want to do is do like darker recipes, do things that involve moonshine and mezcal and
Oh,
have
you're
a-
talking to the right people about moonshine.
Don't do
have
it.
These
like
two.
a sugar-free area, because I was diagnosed pre-diabetic, so I have to watch it. And so we want to well, that was the other thing, and I want to again credit Brandon and Roy for the Nobu section. So my son did the illustration of Nobu. He's an animator, so the drawing of Nobu there. But to make sure that all of the non-alcoholic choices are equally good, not just Shirley Temple's, they're equally delicious recipes, even though they don't have booze in them. So
Yeah, we
so
were
that the-
we were
so that
pushing
you're-
we were
Yeah.
pushing Roy too to make them not just recipes that it was the same and just leave out the gin,
So
or
what's
just
really-
they were specifically created as good. The unarmed punch I love,
Oh,
topped with rainbow sherbet and all that. I mean, they're
the
ridiculous.
kids
Yeah.
love it, but
Oh,
then I also find there's a lot of grown-ups out there that want to join in the fun, but they're like, yeah, I don't drink.
So this
But
is
it's
really
too fun.
this is such an important piece of gaming culture. So I'm a games director over at Outland Entertainment. My editor in chief, she's got kids, and she is currently working through a recipe book where she's making them the non-alcoholic drinks. And I was able to take pictures from this book because it's like we're all in chat on Slack talking about various manuscripts that we're putting together and like games details and rules and stuff. And she's an old school gamer. Very tuned in, and I was able to share things from the book with her, and she got like super stoked because that's not something that you typically see. It is just like you said, there's the alcohol is removed, and
Right.
it's kind of this
Like a
version-
virgin daiquiri is just without the tequila, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
there's nothing. It's not Virgin X. It's its own,
and it's
concoction.
intentional, which is super cool because then people who don't drink can enjoy it, which is such a kind thing from a writing perspective to put together. It really it
We
made
tried to make the book as inclusive and cast as wide of a net as we could, even in the telling of the stories. We just want D&D is for everybody. Drinking may not be for everybody, but sitting around and raising a glass might be for everybody.
Sure.
So whether there's booze in it or not. So we wanted to really drive home that inclusivity of the experience of gathering around the table with those that you love.
It's so good, and it works. It hits on such a real level, and like the guys are ribbing me, and they I love them to pieces, and I know they mean it, but like it's real. When I say this book is delightful, that is.
Thank you.
It really hits home, man. Like you guys did a great job with this. It's grade A across the board.
Thank you. Thank you.
I
If you know a publisher-
I only wish you liked it more.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame.
I feel like we've let you down.
But yeah, I mean,
I
look,
think
we would love to have a publisher. We would love to get a second printing of it, whether we kickstart it or not. We would like to keep going with this and exploring this world of people, these characters in this world that we created. And Roy is ready with drinks. So
Todd and I, we laugh because we want to do a second book, but now we're all back to work and we have full-time jobs. And you're going, yeah, I want to do that. Well, my big project's done in 2 years, so maybe we'll do it then. It's like there's all this stuff now. It's like, man, pandemics are good times to get stuff done.
and if
Yeah.
only of
Well,
us, and then you also have a newborn. So
Well, there's that too. There's that.
Well, the Zoom thing has come up quite a bit in this conversation, and it's kind of interesting how the pandemic kind of changed how everybody looks at getting together in groups or work meetings and things like that. Because I
Yeah.
know that Anton runs a lot of games now just over Zoom because it's just much easier to get everybody together and do the thing. And because of this terrible thing that happened to the entire planet as a whole, like we've got this cool new venue and this new way to share this thing that we all love.
And it works. Like that's the nice thing.
100%.
Like there's a group of us that have been playing Fireball Island for 3 years. Which, Fireball Island's a board game. And we started out with literally taking one of us a week would take a webcam and put it over the board. And then that
Nice.
person would have to run the board, every week. And then now we've since built it. One of the guys built it in Roll20. So we just play on there and move our little guys and we play. But we're 3 years in on Fireball Island here. So
I think Wizards of the Coast can definitely, if there's one shining light that came out of a lot of this lockdown for them, is I think the resurgence of D&D is directly linked to the fact that people could start playing it with very little investments. Like, all right, I'll turn on my camera and sit down and see what this is. I don't have to drive to anybody's house. I don't have to anything. And I was able to play D&D with my friends in Crystal Lake, Illinois, who I played with when I was a kid. And we were able to all gather and celebrate this. And so I think Critical Role and Dimension 20 and all of these streamed entertainments when we had nothing to do but look at our screens, because we couldn't go out to see live things. I think it definitely connects to that. And again, that's what gave us the idea to go, hey, we should all, at least if we're in Zoom, be raising the same cocktail so that we're having a shared experience.
The other thing that happens is you've got guys like Manganiello and you and these other celebrities or whatever that are, putting out their love of this game and this kind of community that really just kind of gives it like street cred. Like, this is a really cool thing that I'm doing and I really love doing it. And here's these celebrities that are also doing it and they're doing it live streaming and things that kind of make it more of an acceptable kind of pastime.
Well, and what I will also add to that is guys like Manganiello and myself and Lillard. D&D is also what, in many ways, sowed the seeds of us becoming performers. It was early role playing. It was feeding our imaginations, and it was entertaining each other. And so the seeds of our current careers were planted in our youth, rolling very weirdly shaped pieces of acrylic.
I love that.
Real quick, because I know Eric's going to stop us. The most important part of this episode. My wife sampled all of these drinks earlier today.
Nice. I love Sydney's notes. Let's hear them.
She gave us notes on all the drinks. She was in the pool. I brought her a tray of beverages out to her. Because I knew it was going to be a good old fashioned. I knew her review of that. She hated it. That's nothing. The better the old fashioned, the more she hates it. She hates bitters. She hates the taste of rye.
My wife's the same. She makes her whiskey face. She'll keep drinking my whiskey, or she'll keep sipping it.
That's the face she made. She loved both the other drinks, though. I was really surprised. She said that I've already drank all three of these, so now I'm the first one we tried. The gin, the gin punch went down very easily, especially in the pool.
Super fruity.
Yeah.
Got to drink it in the pool. Have to. That's a given.
But surprisingly, the floating eye, which I thought she would hate, that was her favorite. She really loved the floating eye. She didn't like the melon. She was like, "Yeah, you can have all this." And she made a grossed out face when she saw it. She's like, "What is this?" It's like, "It's floating eyes. Come on." And so she wasn't a fan of the visual of the floating eye, but that was her favorite of the three drinks.
Funny.
Yay.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
I love the Buccaneers Bounty, the Iron Toe, the Rum Raven. Those are some of my absolute favorites. And also Waterlight. Waterlight is so good.
I think we need a second edition of this show.
And last night, like I said, I made Alkali's potion number 6 last night, and it's sort of a peachy margarita, but with honey syrup. So there's
nice.
Complexity to it that's amazing, and you can
So
use your Gerber.
So we were setting all this up. We didn't get any suggestions from your side, so we picked all our own. I think we
Oh,
need
great.
to do this again and do all the drinks that you just mentioned.
And I would throw a couple non-alcoholics in there. I'd throw an unarmed punch in there, and
Heck yeah.
yeah,
I'm out.
I think you'll enjoy that.
I'm for it. I'm for it. I'm for it.
And the
All
nice
right,
thing
so,
too with the non-alcoholics is where we didn't want to remove the alcohol to make them a non-alcoholic. You can easily add it to the,
Happily,
you know, so
happily with joy.
Yeah.
Booze it up.
Try it without, and then you put a shot in, and you're good.
No, what we should also
That's-
do is do a live stream of running the adventure.
Can we?
Let's
Why
do it.
not?
I'm not even
You're in the
kidding.
wild.
Can we?
I mean, people do Strahd, people do live streams.
Yeah.
Of Printed Adventures, and it's old school Jumanji.
Do you want to run? Do you want
Eric.
me to run? Who do you want to run?
I'll run it.
Okay, I'll play it. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Figure it out. Yeah.
All right, so we've got a second episode coming where we're going to run the adventure. We're going to do the thing. We've got it from the man's mouth himself.
And what we should do is don't live stream it, so that the way the adventures run, as you know, you roll it and then a drink is made, and then
Right.
you make that drink, and then we can come back just like they do in cooking shows. Like, well, it's done, and we hold it up.
Eric's in the background giving us notes saying we have the technology. We can make it
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Yeah.
I'm here.
All right,
it.
so
I'm down for it.
So
We
get us
are
a
hitting-
publisher, and we'll get more books out there.
We'll talk after the show.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even.
we will talk after the show
Okay,
for sure.
okay.
For sure. I've got some ideas for you guys already. All right,
Sweet.
so we are getting the high sign from our editor in chief, our producer for these
No
shows.
worries.
Eric
Yeah,
is
he's
telling
on
us
it.
we only
He's
have a
on it
couple
over there.
Boundaries are important.
Yes, sir. So I am Brendan Allen. That's Cullen Bunn. Over there is Anton Kromoff. That is Brandon Kleyla. Kleyla. And we have Todd Stashwick. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time. Hey, this is
1
Brendan Allen
o'clock.
from
That's your
ComicCon.com.
You blew it.
All right,
You
well-
blew it. We're leaving all of this in,
Sorry.
by the way.
We should actually. Let's do that. Eric,
Take two. You know what? We're
Hey,
just
this-
people. We're just human people.
this
That's
is true.
it.
Yes.
That's it. Filled with flaws, glorious flaws. Come on.